Hey everyone, this is Anna here, and in this video I want to show you how I do the Cuerda Seca technique using wax resist. I'm painting this mural here, but before I do this one, I'm gonna just make a tester tile, which is this one, and I'll show you, I'll make a demo on this one because I rather fire a test tile first and see if it works. Than making this whole work here, and then if for some reason it doesn't work, then it's just time wasted. Now I did a very small little tester just to see if the glaze I use, which is stroke and coat right here, just to see if the stroke and coat is a real stable glaze, if you would do what I wanted to do, which is stay put and also stay like in relief. It stays like really high as you see here, and it creates a real nice texture. And so that's why I did this little tester right here. I did several little ones and it did work, but I didn't do the test with the oil resist or the wax resist. So what I found out is when I did this one here earlier today, I used the oil, and the oil doesn't get absorbed quite well on this tile because the tiles are commercial and it is completely vitrified. Now, you can fire to a high temperature because I believe that's what these tiles were fired to, a real high temperature. I fired my tester to cone 5 and cone 05, which is the temperature that I can fire this stroke and coat. I was afraid to go higher than that, not knowing what temperature these tiles were fired to. But anyways, it did withstand that temperature just fine. As you can see here, this is after I fired it, and it did worked out okay. But I didn't use the oil. As you can see here, it did not work quite well with the oil mixture when I do Cuerda Seca using the oil with black iron oxide here. And then when I put my glaze over, it kind of mixed in. It didn't resist well because the way this is meant to work is on a bisque fired piece. That way it absorbs some of the oil and it absorbs some of the glaze. And then you do your firing to either low fire like cone 06 or whatever, or 05, and then, or you can fire to like a cone 5, cone 6. I'm gonna fire to a cone either 05 or 06, which is a lower range, just because that's what I can fire, the stroke and coat, and I don't want to go any higher with these styles, not knowing what they can be fired to. So now I'm just gonna use the Mako wax resist. You can use any wax resist that you would like. Or you can use, if you're doing on a bisque fired tile, you can go ahead and use your oil, however you prefer. I prefer using the oil mixture because it looks like it goes on easier, like smoother. But anyways, I don't have a choice on these styles, so I'm gonna go ahead and use my wax resist. And it is blue just because I made it that way, because I wanted to use these on some of my, like when you use it on a white porcelain or stoneware, I wanted to be able to see where I applied the wax resist. And we'll see if it works out the way I would like. So these, because the Sharpie will burn out on the firing, then the lines are gonna be just whatever color is my tile, which is that reddish brown color. So since now this is dry, the dry to touch, the wax resist, I'm ready to start. So first of all, I wanted to tell you how I do. These are, it's a test tile that shows most of the colors that I own with the stroke and coat. But it also tells me that when I fire, I just lean this against my post and fire like this, standing up, because I like to use this technique also on a vessel that is vertical instead of just a tile, right? That is fired this way, just horizontal. So that lets me know how stable these are. They're mostly, most of the time, pretty stable glazes, but some are more or some are less stable than others. Like some run just slightly. As you can see, I don't know if you can see it on this style, but some of them, it doesn't run. I did make this to about where it is, but you can tell the volume when it fires that it comes to the end here, almost like a drop, stops there. It doesn't move, but it kind of like you can tell that it moved just slightly. And some of these didn't move at all. So some do move a little bit more than the others. So that tells me when I paint something vertically, like a mug or something, that I would know not to do like a real big area with this color, because most likely it's gonna go over my lines. But then I can see some of the ones that are more stable and I know, oh, I can use these other colors. So that's why this is handy to have, and also to see what colors they fire to, because it's very different, right, than the color that you see. So this one, you can see it's almost white, but it's this one here. It's my Blue Haven, which is a pale blue, almost like a sky blue. And you can see how it is here on this clear bottle, and you can see the color. So it's nice to look at these, and unless you memorize all the colors and know exactly what they are, but it's nice to see the actual color they're gonna be fired to. So for this tile here, I'm using 6 different colors, and more because I wanted to mix some for the flower. So the colors, and I'll tell you as I paint what colors I decided to do. And I did say that I wasn't gonna paint the background since this is just a tester, but I decided to do it anyways, even though it's a tester. So I do add just a few drops of water to the glaze when I see that the glaze is a little thicker, because you want it to flow. You can test it here on a piece of paper. You want it to flow. If it is too thick, you have a hard time squeezing it out of the bottle. So here we go. And I can tell right away that the resist is working, unlike with the oil, like I tested before. It really wasn't working that well. So But just because, like I said before, just because these tiles are vitrified and not like if it was just bisque, that's the reason. I will probably speed up this part because all I'm doing is flood filling. So this color here I'm using for the flower or for the dahlia is called Tutu Tango, which is kind of like an orangey red, very bright. It's getting pretty dark out there. So here for the leaves, I'm using Leaping Lizard, which is a nice green, kind of medium color green. And then on the other side of the leaf, I'm using, let me see, it wasn't my Blue Heaven. It was another blue one. My Blue Heaven. Blue Isle is the color. Is a real nice, almost like a green teal color. So that's what I'm using. So this is the result after I finished the middle of the flower. I was waiting to dry enough that I could make it without the glaze just merging into others. But one of the problems here with this style being vitrified is that the glaze takes forever to dry because it just sits on the surface. And that's why this is not a real good tile to use for this purpose. So I'm not sure still if I'm gonna use these tiles or if I'm gonna make some new ones myself. Another thing I don't like is how the lines come out real thick. And I think this is also a problem that the tile doesn't absorb the wax resist, and it's really hard to make, nice lines. So, but I will post the results. I'm gonna try to, if it dries, I'm gonna try to fire it today just as a tester. And I will post it as soon as it comes out of the kiln. Thanks for watching.